Her youth was hard because her mother wasn't there, and her father wasn't close to her. She tried to make up for broken relationships by taking on too many responsibilities too fast. She kept going despite everything. She was happy with dancing, kids, and little things. She wanted love, to feel like she belonged, and to have a family. These wants and hurts from the past affected how she lived as a royal family member. She was just called Diana before she became known as the people's princess and the center of attention. She carried the weight of her past along with her hopes and dreams, because she came from a rich family. Diana wanted love, and to be loved. Back, she wanted to connect with people, and make them feel safe, and noticed. Her kind heart was shining brightly, even before she wore a crown, but no one noticed at the time. Diana has always been a beautiful person. She did not have a happy old age though. It was clear from the letters she wrote by hand. Diana showed us what her heart really wants. Let's read the letter, to see what it really said. The quiet fight for love of a mother. Before a secret letter made Princess Diana's feelings public, she had already written a lot of other really touching notes. These notes weren't meant to be flashy or seen by everyone. That's because they were private texts sent to close friends and loyal staff. The notes were honest and true, and they said things that Diana had a hard time saying. They showed how she changed, from a shy young woman thrust into royal life, to a world star who only wanted her sons to feel loved as they grew up. Diana seemed happy and upbeat. In a letter from July 8, 1981, just before her wedding, she made jokes about how crazy things were before the wedding, but stayed cool. But as she got used to being a princess, her tone changed from happy to thoughtful, showing how her feelings had changed. The tone of the letters that followed became more serious. She said she was tired, stressed out, and felt like she never really fit. Somehow, she said, the house never felt like home to her. Instead, it was like she didn't belong there. She tried to act like her part, but it never felt right. She wore expensive clothes and jewelry, but she had a lot of self-doubt, and found it hard to get around in a world that seemed fake and controlled. Diana had many changes and problems in her life, but one thing that never changed was her love for Prince William and Prince Harry. This was the main idea that ran through all of her letters. She always brought up her boys, whether she was thanking someone for a birthday gift, or talking about something going on at school. She thanked Sergeant George Plum for setting up a motorcycle show for William's birthday in a note she sent to him in June 1989. The little notes that William and Harry wrote in this letter were what made it unique. This may seem like a small thing, but Diana really showed what was important to her by doing it. The letters were more than just blank pieces of paper. They were like parts of who she was inside. They showed what she really thought, felt, and hoped for. Some were happy, and others showed that she was worried. Every letter showed a different side of Diana that the public did not know about. She was more than just a princess. She loved her kids very much, and only wanted the best for them. She worked hard to keep them from knowing about the hard things she had been through. Show her as a really good mother, and someone we can all connect to when she talks about how her kids are. Over time, the happy tone she used to write lost it. Fear and caution started to show up in her messages, but not in a bold or over-the-top way. Instead, they were written in soft, careful language. Diana clearly had a good eye for things that other people missed, as she continued to write. She saw the flaws in the way the royal family was portrayed. She became more and more aware of how lonely she was feeling. She also knew that keeping quiet could hurt her. A lot of people thought Diana's life was great at first. A teacher who was normally quiet had changed into a princess from a storybook. However, Her private letters showed a different story. The change in her mood happened slowly, like glass breaking slowly. Her first texts were full of happiness and love. But after she got married, she stopped being as excited about writing. Diana became more quiet over time. She was glad to have her boys, but she was getting more and more unhappy with life in the palace. She said that she felt alone even when things were going well. She was happy and sad at the same time when Harry was born in 1984. She didn't have any real friends or family to share her happiness with. Without help, even big events felt lonely. The people still felt close to her. She thought that they knew her as a person, not just a figure. From her letters, it seemed like she had a stronger bond with the people outside the house. People in the groups seemed to really care about her. She had to hold back her feelings inside the house. She felt torn between her duties and her need to be true to herself because of this difference. Her letters got more emotional as her marriage problems got worse, and her royal duties grew. Even though things were hard, she stayed above all a loving mother. She showed her love for her boys, not only through letters, but also through the things she did with them every day. Diana walked her boys to school, gave them hugs in public to show how much she loved them, and made it a point to listen to them, make them laugh, and teach them how important it is to be kind. Many people already knew what her writing from the heart proved. Diana didn't just talk about love, she showed it by how she behaved. We remember more than just things from the notes and letters now. They show a life full of feelings, even though people in that time often hid their feelings. They show a woman who had problems but always dealt with them with kindness. A princess who lived a happy life in public but cried behind closed doors. Above all, a mother who did everything she could to protect her kids. Diana's letters showed how normal she was even though she was going through a lot. Even though she was having a hard time, she was most afraid for her children. This is a mother's secret. When people saw Princess Diana, they thought she was lovely, kind, and sweet. She was known for her beautiful waves, warm smiles, and ability to make everyone feel seen and loved. A lot of people didn't know the pain she kept hidden behind royal walls and public duties, though Diana told the truth about how she felt. In a letter that was kept secret for many years, her advisors didn't put a lot of thought into these comments, and they weren't meant for the public. Diana wrote them herself in secret, from the bottom of her heart. Last but not least, everyone knows how Diana really feels. Diana wrote a letter about how she felt after holding her feelings in. Even though she was surrounded by people, she felt alone and ignored. She said she felt like a prisoner, even though she lived in a palace. In spite of how beautiful her settings were, Diana was only trying to stay alive and not really live. She said that the royal home wasn't cozy, but rather a place where people didn't seem to be truly happy. People she lived with were polite, but cold. They always paid attention, but never showed love in return. This was a spot where feelings were hidden, and people kept their hearts safe. Diana had a hard time in a place that valued quiet over feelings. Because she was open about how she felt. Many thought it would be a fairy tale, but it wasn't. There was no one else around, and even her laughing seemed fake. Diana cared most about her children, especially Prince William. She was afraid that the way they were raised might have made them unfaithful. She knew that being a royal could make people detached, and she didn't want William to feel that way. She hoped he would stay kind, stay true to his feelings, and lead with understanding instead of duty. It was clear that Diana loved her boys very much. In her message, she made it clear that the health and happiness of her children were more important than their royal titles. Diana did worry about more than just her mental problems, though she also said that she felt something more evil. She thought someone was watching and following her, and she couldn't get rid of the thought that something terrible was about to happen. These thoughts were not made up. Those fears were real and made her feel very bad. If something were to happen to her, she only asked that her boys be safe in her letter. This seemingly simple request was very important. There was more than one mother taking care. It felt like a goodbye and a loving message to be careful. This letter was hidden for a long time and wasn't lost or forgotten. It was hidden because people in the house knew about it, and some of them had even read it. What they read, though, they thought was too personal and emotional. They didn't want it to go against what they wanted the people to think of the royal family. Because of this, the letter was kept in a safe place to avoid any problems. Once more, Diana's real feelings were kept from the public. This time, it wasn't because they weren't important. It was because they didn't fit with how the palace saw her. Diana had been ignored before, when she talked about her problems in public. People told her not to speak up again after giving her negative comments. Some people told her to keep certain things to herself. Diana couldn't hold back her thoughts. Even though people told her not to, even though she knew there were risks, she chose to write the letter anyway. She showed a real and raw side of herself in that letter. Diana knew that even though she wasn't there in person, it might be the only chance she had to be heard. After some time, people who worked at the palace admitted that they did things to hide the letter. They got together and made sure the files were locked up safely. Some people thought that some papers were thrown away to keep more information from getting out. All of this was done so that the people wouldn't find out the truth about Diana. Diana's letter did more than just talk about how she felt, which is likely why. It put a whole system to the test. This system cared more about how things looked than how real they were. In that system, following custom was often seen as more important than being kind to people. Many people didn't know certain things about the throne before Diana's letter. Instead of the normal parties and formal events, it showed a different side of the royal family by focusing on hard and lonely times. The letter showed how hard it is to follow strict rules, have inner battles, and feel emotionally alone. Diana was not only a lady, she was a woman trying to speak out in a world that thought she should be quiet. No one took the time to check on her, but her life was ruled by what people thought of her. We now know what she went through because of what she wrote. Diana fought with feelings like fear, uncertainty, and sadness, even though she looked happy in front of the cameras. She said she had trouble sleeping at night and was wary of people around her. Even though there were cameras and people all around her all the time, she often felt alone and separated. Her main worry was making sure that her sons would not feel as alone. The mother wanted her children to be strong but kind, royal but real. What made her feel the most was when she wrote her message to Prince William. She wasn't just giving advice, she was talking about a real wish, as a mother who knows what it means to be queen. She told him not to just follow the rules, but to lead with his feelings as well. She didn't want him to lose touch with people like some people had done before him. She hoped he would stay humble and make choices based on love. By her quiet way of speaking, she was asking him to be a different kind of king, one who rules with kindness and understanding. There was no anger or blame in her words to William. Because of what she had been through and her positivity, they were kind and consistent. And while she knew that one day he would have a big responsibility, she also knew that power is useless without love. Diana knew what it was like to be a princess, and she wanted William to never have to go through the same pain. Her advice was simple but deep, and she stressed being human over being a ruler. This part made me cry the most. She told William in a letter that she would always be with him, even if she wasn't there. These weren't just words of relief, they were her last promise. Her love would last no matter what happened. This one line made me cry more than any speech or celebration. She meant to say goodbye, but she was never really gone. Diana spent a lot of her life in the public eye, but this letter showed the private parts of her life she kept secret. This wasn't meant to go down in history books or get attention. Instead, she wrote it for herself, her kids, and to tell the truth. It changes how we see her story, now that we know what it is. The world saw Diana as the people's princess, but this letter shows the mother, fighter, and dreamer behind the title. Diana's letter didn't change what had already happened, but it did finally show what had been hidden for a long time. Years of questions that were never answered led to a void of quiet. The letter filled that space. Most importantly, it served as a warning that people with feelings, fears, and weaknesses are hiding behind the royal facade, behind the rules and traditions. Diana's word can no longer be ignored now that it has been heard. People who really understand her story will remember her words, not just in writing or pictures, but also in their minds. She didn't depend on being a princess to make an effect that would last. Instead, she left behind something stronger. Being honest, caring, and always believing that things could get better were all things that made her stand out. All of this was done for her boys, the world, and the truth of her own story. Diana wanted her boys to be free, even though they were king and queen. In every way she could, she tried to be their mother. The hope of living a normal life. She fought for her kids. Diana, Princess of Wales, didn't want her boys to be stuck inside the palace and learn about the strict rules of royal life and public duties at a young age. She wanted William and Harry to have a more gentle and friendly childhood instead. Her hope was that they would have a real childhood that was fun, similar, caring, and connected. To give them that kind of training, she was ready to break all royal rules. Diana was involved with William and Harry's early lives in a way that wasn't normal for a royal mother. She did this after they were born. She picked schools close to Kensington Palace, so she could drive them there and back herself, instead of leaving it to nannies and drivers, which is what most royal families did. Diana thought it was important for her to be there for her daughter in these everyday times as a mother, and she didn't think she could give this job to someone else. She liked the little things in life. She made sure they went to fast food places, like McDonald's, not just for the food, but also to see how normal life works, stand in line, and be with other kids. She didn't take them on the London Underground to save time. She did it to show them what life is like outside of the royal cars. She didn't wear sunglasses and casual clothes on these dates to hide. She did it to show her boys that they could also fit in with other people in the real world. Diana always planned these trips with a reason in mind. She gave them a lot of thought because she wanted her sons to learn something important from each trip. Before William and Harry could be good leaders, she thought they should learn about the people they would be in charge of. She thought it wasn't enough to just look at the world from a royal viewing point. They had to deal with it directly. Diana made sure that the people who were close to her sons treated them like kids, not like future kings. She made sure they had teachers and nannies who taught them values, like honesty and kindness, instead of just following strict rules and old customs. In her letters from that time, she often talked about how important it was to make memories that matter instead of trying to get respect from the media. In her own quiet way, she was starting a new way of doing things. She was making plans for a royal future that put relationships and feelings ahead of strict social rank. She thought it was important to give her boys a normal childhood, which meant more than just going outside and playing. That was her goal, to make her boys kind and humble men, not spoiled brats. Even though they had a good childhood, she wanted them to be strong, caring, and grounded. Even though she worked hard to make this life for them, pressures from outside kept getting worse. After Diana and Prince Charles split up in 1996, things got worse in her life. As her boys grew up in the royal family, she had to bow down to them because she was no longer Her Royal Highness. It wasn't just that Diana lost her status in this case. It cut right to the heart of how she felt about her boys. That a title might one day separate her from her kids, whom she loved very much, made her very sad. During their private talks, she told William how sad she was. Not because she was angry or jealous, but because she felt ignored by the system. She used to be a part of William, who was only a teen at the time, saw how much she hurt, and tried to make her feel better. This moment between a mother and son was more important than any duty or expectation. It gave Diana peace of mind that the bond between her and her boys would never be broken, no matter what the royal family did. When Diana wasn't a princess, she focused on being a mum and speaking out for issues she cared about. She helped sick people, worked to end homelessness, and brought attention to people around the world who had been hurt by landmines. She continued to work, talk, travel, and do other things, but her sons William and Harry were always her first. She often asked about their health and happiness in her letters, showed pride in how they were growing, and shared her hopes for their future. To her close friends, she told them that losing the title let her live by her own rules for the first time. She was freer and more like herself. But this peace didn't last very long. When Diana started to talk more freely, especially after her 1995 TV interview, she got more worried. Her phone calls, and the way she felt like she was being watched, were the first things she said. She thought something wasn't right. In the end, she wrote a letter that made everyone who read it feel very uneasy. In October 1995, Diana wrote a letter to her butler. The two of them quickly became close, and began trading letters, which is really amazing, and shows how close Diana was to the people she met, and how she really made a connection with them. Paul Beryl warned that he was worried about her safety. She thought someone was planning to hurt her by making up a car crash. The letter talked about a scary event that seemed too real to overlook. The terrible thing that happened to her. Less than 2 years after she wrote that was similar to what happened. A lot of people spoke out against the letter when it became public. Some people thought Diana was too scared, while others thought she had good reasons to be. One thing was clear from the letter though. Diana didn't feel safe in her last years. She was afraid of more than just the media following her around. She was also afraid of being left alone by a system that used to love her, but now doesn't. As she talked to reporter Martin Basher, her fears grew even stronger. She made it clear that her sons were her top concern. She said she really wanted to protect them from harm, not just from the press but also from a bigger threat. She didn't name anyone by name, but it was clear that she thought the whole system was dangerous. Her hope was that William and Harry would grow up in safety, without any fear or secret. The letter Diana sent to the butler showed that she felt threatened. Besides this letter, other writings from her also showed that she was feeling more and more dangerous. Even though she was scared, she stuck to her ideals and did her work to help others. Diana fought for important causes, pushed for her sons' freedom, and made a point of showing who she was outside of her royal role. Diana left behind more than just words in the last few months of her life. She left behind love and bravery. She built a strong base for her kids by teaching them to be honest, kind, and strong emotionally. They still felt her impact in their lives even after she died. When they were young, William and Harry's mother taught them important lessons. Diana never stopped being a good mother to them, even after she left the royal palace. It was important to her that she could always be with her children, even if they lived far away or had to follow royal rules. For a bigger reason, she wrote letters, planned trips, and broke the rules. Her goal was to give her boys a better life than she had, one full of real love, happiness, and freedom. Diana did almost everything for her boys, but she's no longer there. Do they follow what she did? William and Diana's love's quiet power. People now know Prince William for more than just being Queen Elizabeth's grandson and a possible future king. He has become the man he is today thanks to his memories, his experiences, and the strong but gentle influence of his late mother, Princess Diana. William's choices, the way he leads, and the kind of father and husband he is becoming show that her presence is still felt, even though she is dead. Diana's letters, which were just made public, show how much she loved her boys and what she hoped for their future. Even though she was overshadowed by royal rules in the past, her impact can be seen in Prince William, who acts with her compassion even though he is a royal. Many people have seen him connect with others in a real way. He does this by giving money to mental health causes, going to shelters for the poor, and talking to kids on their level. This shows that he understands how people feel, which is something Princess Diana also felt. It's more powerful than words alone to use these easy actions. It shows that he is not only doing what he needs to do, but also leading with kindness. William takes his mother's advice that kids should be raised with love, instead of just rules. As he and his wife Catherine raise their children, they do both royal tasks and normal things that people do every day. He is like Diana, in that he is there for his kids, is kind, and is strong. When William's wife was criticized by the public, he stood by her completely. He might not say it out loud, but he is very protective of his family. His family is clearly the most important thing to him, just like it was for Diana. He doesn't forget what she taught him, and he uses what she taught him to protect his family. William has to make a very important choice as the future king. He can do things the way they are, or try to make the monarchy more important, which was Princess Diana's dream all along. She wanted a royal family that cared more about helping people than being famous. Now, the message she wrote is more than just something to keep. As a sign of what can happen, it's there. William's deeds make her vision strong and sure to come true. Diana's last days. Diana was no longer known as the Princess of Wales after she left the house and gave up her royal title. Her duties as a mother, a teacher, and an inspiration, on the other hand, got stronger. When she was no longer subject to the strict rules of royalty, she felt free, in a way she hadn't felt before. Diana told the people she cared about that she could finally live her life the way she wanted to. Even though she lost her title, she learned more about who she really was. Diana was just getting started when her old problems came back. William and Harry, her kids, gave her strength. Their backing made her more likely to speak out and be herself. She broke royal rules, more and more though, which made her life scarier and less certain. Since Diana started talking more easily, her worries grew. She said she felt like she was being watched and accompanied at all times. As she felt like she was being watched all the time, fear started to creep into her daily life. The hints of worry got louder and louder, until they were impossible to ignore. Finally, Diana wrote a letter that would be read all over the world. This was a shocking event for many. She left her maid, Paul Burl, and wrote a very scary letter to him in October 1995. Though the letter was well written, it had a scary tone to it. Diana wrote in her letter that she thought her life was in danger and shocked everyone by saying who she thought was behind the threat. She said that she thought bad things were being planned. She told other people about an accident that could happen in her car and cause the brakes to fail and a serious head injury. Her words were so full of specifics that they couldn't be ignored. The picture in the letter looked a lot like the fatal car accident that killed her less than 2 years later. People asked her how she knew what would happen. Was it just fear? Or had she actually found something scary that was hidden in her surroundings? The palace did not read the letter in public, but it has been checked and kept for many years. Some people thought Princess Diana's words showed that she was worried or stressed, while others thought they showed that she felt unsafe in her last few months. She used to have royal duties as part of her daily life, but now it was just a bunch of stress. She thought that people were listening in on her phone calls and watching what she did. After her well-known talk with reporter Martin Basher, her fears grew. That conversation became an important part of recent royal history. She spoke with confidence and told the truth, but she didn't directly accuse anyone. But it was clear what she was saying. She wasn't just worried about the attention from the media. She was also worried about bigger problems. A whole system that at first welcomed her, but later turned against her. She felt pushed to the side by the organization that had helped her in the beginning. It wasn't just the cameras and the attention from the media that made her nervous. It was a more minor problem that was harder to spot. Diana may have meant the letter she sent as a warning or a prediction, but the truth is that she felt unsafe. It was important to her, so she wrote it. She was really scared, and she left clues for other people. Last month, the letter and another one for her son William changed how people saw her. I do not know about you, but I love the Diana letter from December 1990 so much. I'm going to read you my favorite line now. The note says, "The boys." Diana wrote her sons different notes. Some notes showed love and support like a mother, while others showed worry and caution. Princess Diana's lasting legacy. People thought she would disappear from public view once she stopped being a princess, but she stayed active and involved in causes she cared about. Supporting charities like Centrepoint and groups like Great Ormond Street Hospital, the Royal Marsden, the National AIDS Trust, and the Leprosy Mission were some of the ways she used her power to bring attention to issues that were important to her. She was dedicated to helping people in need through her actions, not just by being affiliated with charities. Diana made sure to visit patients, talk to their families, and comfort them, showing how compassionate she was. Even after she stopped being famous, Princess Diana continued to help others. She showed that anyone can make a difference and be kind, even if they don't have a crown. However, life without the royal family was hard for her. She often felt exposed and alone because she didn't live in the palace. Her 2 sons, William and Harry, were her main support system. She made sure they did well in school by meeting with their teachers and going to their events. Being a mother was always her top priority. She told close friends about her worries and fears about safety in private. No one knows what they said, but they show how stressed she was at the time. In January 1997, a year before she died, Diana bravely went to Angola with the International Red Cross. She wore protective gear and walked through a minefield to bring attention to the dangers of landmines and highlight a serious problem that needed to be fixed right away. In her last few months, Princess Diana worked hard to teach her sons, William and Harry, how to be leaders who are kind and caring. She wanted them to know that being a leader means helping others, not just having power. Sadly, Princess Diana died in a car accident in Paris on August 31, 1997, leaving her sons William, 15, and Harry, 12. The world saw her sons follow her coffin, but her teachings and values continued to guide them. Princess Diana's influence went beyond the royal palace to the people she touched, and the way she raised her sons. Do you think Prince William should release Diana's secret letters at some point, or are some memories too sacred to share? If Diana were still alive, how do you think she would feel about the men William and Harry have become? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and share. Also, don't forget to click on the movie on your screen before you leave. When Prince William found a secret letter from his late mother, Princess Diana, I think it was a shocking surprise that shook the royal family. As the Duke read the letters Diana had written for him, he broke down in tears. Why did William cry when he found out this? Come with us as we look into the sad story behind this letter. The letter that made the house shake. No one knew what was inside the sealed package with Princess Diana's name on it when it was opened. It wasn't any old RSVP, thank you note, or royal letter. What they found shocked experts and made everyone rethink what they thought they knew about Princess Diana. The message, which was likely written not long before Diana's sad death in 1997, was very emotional. It wasn't classy or polite. It was honest and true, and it was heavy with fear and sadness. Each word read like a gentle plea for help, written by a woman who knew she was in danger nearby. Diana's words weren't just sad, they brought up a bigger, scarier problem. She wasn't trying to hide the fact that she was scared. A lot of people were shocked when the letter was found, both because of what was in it and where it was found. It was not kept in the royal files or by a reliable biographer. Instead, it was hidden on the property of a close friend of Diana. It's still not clear why this is happening. Some people think the friend was scared for their safety, while others think they were told to be quiet. The letter was kept secret for years, until it was recently found. The message was proven to be real by experts, so the truth could not be ignored. Inside the house, rumors were proven true. Royal workers said they knew about the letter, and were told to keep it secret from the public. The royal group was shocked when they heard this news. People began to wonder what the royal aides were trying to hide, and why such an important message had been hidden. The goal was not just to hide a piece of paper. It was meant to calm down a woman who had been misunderstood, treated unfairly, and forgotten. Diana's voice came back stronger than ever with this letter, and it looked like she had left one last message that couldn't be recovered. The message, which may have been kept secret for a long time, is now out in the open. Diana's message is stronger than ever now because of this. But what did Diana really say? What facts did she want everyone to know? Let's talk about who Diana is first. Diana's quiet life is full of hopes and fears. She was just a girl trying to find her place in a world with high standards. Before she became a princess, and had to deal with problems in public, she wasn't always a princess. Before she was a woman, she was a daughter, a sister, and a young woman. Her life seemed beautiful on the outside, but it was full of emotional problems. Diana's life was full of private moments, deep pain, and simple goals. Before she married Prince Charles, these early events helped her become the well-liked woman she is now known all over the world. Diana Spencer came into the world on July 1, 1961. The Spencer family has a long past in British society, going back to the 15th and 16th centuries. Their wealth was passed down through many generations because they raised sheep and made a lot of money from it. The Spencers had their own problems, even though they were wealthy and came from a well-known family. John Spencer and Frances Ruth Rowe, her parents, were from two well-known houses. It shows how close they were to the royal family that Queen Elizabeth II was at their wedding. Frankie married John, who was 30 years old, when she was only 18. They had 5 kids together, but some of them did not make it. Diana was the third child. The names of her brothers were Charles, Sarah, and Jane. Sadly, their baby boy John died soon after birth, which caused the family a great deal of grief. Diana grew up in Sandringham, in a big house called Park House, that is on the Queen's land. In the 1800s, the house was built for royal guests. The Spencer family talked to Queen Elizabeth's family when she went to Sandringham. They had fancy meals and were polite all the time. Even though they were very rich, there were problems in the family. Diana's parents split up when she was 7 years old, and her mother left to marry an Australian man who was very rich from selling wallpaper. In the end, the kids stayed with their dad after a very nasty custody fight. Charles, Diana's brother, said that their childhood was sad and lonely. In the past, Diana had been waiting for their mother to return, but she never did. Diana would always remember that. Diana's family was said to have had a happy and safe childhood by some, but her brother didn't agree. He thought their mother wasn't good enough to be a mother, and this hurt the kids' feelings. Diana took care of her younger brother like a second mother while they were on the train between their parents' homes because she felt responsible for him. Her dad married someone else. But Diana did not get along well with his new wife Rain. Rain was beautiful and stubborn. Diana and her brothers were not told about the wedding and were not asked to come. This made Diana feel even more left out and mentally ignored. Making Diana feel even more alone was something she dealt with all her adult life. Diana was close with the royal family before she married into it, even though she had problems in her personal life. Her grandma worked as a maid for the Queen. Mother. Queen Elizabeth II was godmother to her brother Charles, and her father knew Queen Mary. There were ties between the families, and Diana had played with Prince Charles's younger siblings when she was younger. When she was 16, Prince Charles was dating her older sister Sarah, which is how she met him for the first time. When Diana's grandpa died in 1975, her life changed in a big way. Her father became the 8th Earl Spencer, and Diana became known as Lady Diana. The family then moved to Althorp, the Spencer family's ancient home that had been in the family since the 1600s, and was spread out over 13,000 acres of land, and more than 90 rooms. Diana's grave would be on the estate, on an island with trees and water around it, in a peaceful place in the future. Diana wasn't very good at school. When she was 9, she went to a private school. After 3 years, she moved to Westheath. She had a hard time in school. She failed to tests and dropped out of school when she was 16. She was having trouble in school, but she was interested in other things. Diana was a girl who liked many things. Her favorite things to do were swim, ski, and play tennis. She could play the piano very well too. Her main goal though was to become a dancer. The problem was that she was only 5 feet 10, which made it hard for her to follow that dream. Even though this was a problem, she didn't give up and kept trying new things. After being done with school, she went to Institut Alpen-Vide-Manet in Switzerland. To finish up, she had never been to another country or flown on an airplane before. Rich young women were taught language, manners, and social skills at the school. Prince Charles was still a part of her life, but he was now interested in Diana instead of her sister. Before she fell in love with Charles, Diana had simple jobs. Her sister hired her to clean her house for extra money, and she taught kindergarten. Part-time, she didn't need these jobs to stay alive. Doing easy work was cool with her upper-class friends, who called themselves the Sloane Rangers. For the experience, not the money, it showed that you were working. Diana quickly got used to this way of life. She wasn't interested in power or position. She was just a young woman trying to make her way in the world. Diana stood out when she was a young adult because of her soft voice, sweet smile, and kind heart. Even though she wasn't after fame or power, people were still interested in her. Friends say she's shy and sweet, and they never thought she would become a princess. But fate had something else planned for her. Before she became involved with Prince Charles, Diana went through a lot of different feelings.